Hey guys, it's Ryan with Big Dog Investing. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. If you guys could do a couple of things for me, if you guys can go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you guys have not done so already. Click the bell notification down below so YouTube can send you guys notifications whenever I release videos. Watch my videos all the way to the end. And if you guys could share my videos and share my channel with anyone. I'm trying to grow my channel as much as I can, and I definitely need your guys' help in doing so. Getting started, today's going to be Tuesday, April 18th. It's in the early morning right now on Tuesday. I just got back from my honeymoon. I did get married and then was in Hawaii for a week. So sorry I haven't been making any videos. I had to leave my laptop back and just focus on the honeymoon. But now that I'm back, I'm going to be making videos consistently. So make sure you guys do tune into my channel. This video is going to be a little bit of a weekly recap. And then tonight we're going to talk about what's going on that we'll talk about towards the end of this video. But today's an important day, I would say, in cryptocurrency. And a lot of people in the crypto space would agree. So make sure you guys tune in all the way to the end of this video so we can talk about that. But getting started, the total market cap for all cryptocurrency right now is $1,283 billion. This is a 2.26% increase on the day. Bitcoin right now is currently trading at $30,405, Ethereum $2,114, and XRP right now at 52.3 cents. So overall, we're still up. So getting into our crypto bubbles, we're going to be basically in the green for the majority of our cryptocurrency coins. XRD is going to be the biggest gainer, up 41.3 cents. ICP is going to be the next biggest gainer right here, up 13.5 cents. And ARB is going to be up 11.4 cents. Now, depending on which tokens you've been investing in on the week and in the month, if you invested into XRD last week, you're going to be up 134%. And then in the month, you're going to be up 187%. So almost double your money here. Almost triple your money, here. Double your money on KAS and ING. If you guys invested in Casper, you're up 50% right now, basically, on some of your coins. It's really hard to time the market and time which coins are going to go up or down. The best piece of advice I could give you or anyone, again, no financial advice, but invest in utility tokens. ADA Cardano is going to be up 30.6 cents. And then XRP is going to be here somewhere right here, up 38.6 cents. This is my favorite cryptocurrency right now. Hopefully we can get some regulatory clarity in the markets. But, again, pick coins that you guys like. Make sure you guys do your guys' own research on those. But getting started, though, into our Watcher Guru news, we're going to scroll through a little bit. I'll point out some of the stuff that stood out to me for the week. We won't recap everything, but this is really important. U.S. banks lost money from mortgages they financed last year for the first time in history. So a lot of people are defaulting on their mortgages right now, or not essentially making their payments. Banks are trying to have to front this money and figure out what they're going to do, because obviously if they have to they loaned out all of this money, and then if people want to come in and get money from the bank and the bank doesn't have it, that's when a lot of them start to go insolvent. We've seen this happen time and time again. This was what mainly happened in the 2008 financial crisis. And we're kind of looks like it's repeating it. The federal government says that it's not as bad, but we'll see what happens with this. So this is something to keep an eye on, especially if you guys are looking into getting in a house sometime soon, especially with interest rates still continuing to rise. And speculation that we might be stable this next month, but we'll see what happens with that. Right here, this was really interesting. Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary announces plans to build a $14 billion oil refinery to reignite America's energy independence. We were energy independent under President Trump. And then when Biden took office, he rolled back a lot of those, stopped the pipeline from being built, the Keystone Pipeline, and then a lot of other stuff. And we ended up getting rid of our strategic oil reserve. We dumped a lot of that into the markets. So only speculation is going to see what happens with this. I did know that we did sell some of our strategic oil reserve to China and a couple other countries. I don't understand why we would do that. But oil prices have been continuing to rise. I saw a couple comments on a couple other posts saying, hey, if you're looking for an investor, Kevin O'Leary, I'll end up, giving you $250, but I want $1 million in perpetuity over 3 years. And then I also want like a 5% stake in the company for loaning you the money. Because if you guys ever watch Shark Tank, he does a lot of those little jabs and stuff like that and deals. Right here, I'll skip this. U.S. inflation falls to 5% lower than expectations. So inflation fell according to the CPI report, did better. So the markets did rise a little bit. We did see that if you guys were paying attention over the week. That was really important. Billionaire Warren Buffett says Bitcoin is a gambling token. It doesn't have any intrinsic value. And it's yes and no. Obviously, cryptocurrency has value if there's regulatory clarity in the markets because you can buy and sell things that can be considered an asset class. But there's not really like a company behind it. So he's right in a sense, but he's also wrong. And then this is a lot of old money that people deal with. Obviously Warren Buffett, he's very intelligent. He did very well for himself. One of the world's richest men. In my opinion, he's very smart, intelligent, but he comes from old money and old tech. New tech starting to take over, and we're seeing this in the finance markets right now, and especially with the Ripple versus the SEC. I do think that banks are in cahoots. Now, this is my own opinion. I think that um, bank CEOs and stuff are in cahoots and getting the federal government involved, trying to stop these cryptocurrency companies from taking over. Because if a cryptocurrency can take away what a bank can do, then banks become insolvent essentially, and customers can no longer trust or keep their assets on there. They can no longer loan out money, stuff like that. There's a lot of different issues that come on with banks, and fees for cryptocurrency. I can send $1 million. Again, I wish I did have $1 million to send, but I could send essentially $1 million of XRP tokens to somebody else and pay less than a penny for that transaction to be sent. But using banks, it's going to cost me a certain percentage fee, anywhere from 3 to 15%, let's say, if I decide to go cross borders. So that's how banks make some of their money. Now, if cryptocurrency took over, that takes away from the banks making profits. It cuts into what these individuals, the CEOs, start to make. And that's where the federal government, in my opinion, came in and is trying to stop that from happening, because they want all these hedge funds elites to keep on making the money and then basically keeping the middle class suppressed a little bit. That's just my personal opinion on that. Right here, bankrupt FTX has recovered 7.3 billion in assets and is considering launching its exchange in Q2. This is what I was talking about previously. There's a lot of individuals right now that are saying, oh, FTX is going to come back and be better than ever. They recovered all this money. Let's see if it actually goes back to the investors that put their money into the FTX exchange, because as of what I've seen right now online, none of that has currently been happening. I would currently not trust this exchange. I never have. And I won't trust the exchange if they do come afloat in Q2, but we'll see. This would be a high risk with a potential high reward if you guys did invest in the FTT token. Again, no financial advice. Ethereum Shanghai upgrade officially goes live, enabling over 34.5 billion in staked Ethereum to be withdrawn. So there was a bunch of speculation with this upgrade that all these tokens would be dumped into the market. That actually wasn't the case. The price actually went up from about $1,860 to about $2,000. So it had a nice $1,400 rise from the upgrade. Obviously, people can now sell these tokens whenever, so the price could drop. Currently trading around $2,100 though, so it's still on the rise. So that's a decent one to get into. Twitter to enable crypto and stock trading in partnership with eToro. I was kind of surprised with this though that the Doge logo was not put in here. But Elon Musk, in my opinion, is trying to make a bank out of Twitter. He's actually there's actually photos of him when he was younger and with a Visa card and then a Twitter, not a Twitter, but a debit card or basically a Visa card, but with the word X on it, like an X Cash or something like that, or an X card. And he's basically trying to come up with his own financial market, become his own bank and stuff like that. And that's what I'm seeing that what he's going to do with Twitter. Brazil president calls to end the U.S. dollar trade dominance. A lot of companies, especially in BRICS, right now are trying to destroy the U.S. dollar. If they hurt our monetary system, only time's going to tell what's going to happen. Amazon to launch a chat GTP rival called Bedrock. Elon Musk is trying to do the same thing also with Twitter. This one was really interesting right here. Suspect arrested in murder of Cash App founder Bob Lee. So we talked about this before I did leave on my trip. But he was killed by a fellow tech executive, Nima Mohini. There's a bunch of speculation that, oh, because he was the Cash App founder, he was trying to compete with banks, and that's why he was killed. In my opinion, I don't actually think so. He was walking around at like 2:30 in the morning after leaving a car or something, after a verbal altercation with this guy, and then was stabbed. In my opinion, nothing good happens after midnight. If you're a huge person with money, what are you doing out at that late? Stay at home. If you're out hanging out with friends, whatever, have it at your house. Don't be walking around the streets. Don't be getting into verbal altercations. You're better than that. Just walk away from a lot of this stuff. US Supreme Court to allow $6 billion in student loan debt to be canceled. Now, this isn't the debt that President Biden right now is trying to get rid of. This is from a lot of the stuff that was going on with a lot of these colleges that were promising, hey, we were actually accredited doing this, and they actually weren't. They lied to a bunch of students saying that they could promise them jobs if they applied and graduated from the school. And then after they graduated, the schools could not provide these jobs. In my opinion, I'm a little bit indifferent on this, if the federal government should be canceling all this debt, because it's not really just canceled, because the taxpayers do pay for it. They paid for these schools and employees and stuff like that to keep on running. So essentially, it's going to be coming out of the taxpayers. So we'll see what happens with that. The Supreme Court's going to hear the case that involves President Biden trying to get rid of I think it was like up to $20,000 worth of student loan debt, depending on where you were at, and if you were able to receive a couple grants and stuff like that. I'll get more into that as soon as that comes up, though. U.S. dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power since 1971. During this time, if you guys don't know, if you guys weren't alive, I wasn't, but I have talked to individuals. Like, the minimum wage around this time was roughly like $1.60 to $2. So you guys could get a gallon of gasoline for just under $1, stuff like that. So it's lost a lot of power. It's going to continually deflationate. So a lot of inflation is going to keep on devaluing the dollar. So we'll see what happens with that later on. We talked about this. Elon Musk going to do his own chat GPT asset class. $9 trillion asset manager BlackRock CEO says that the interest rates will rise another 75 basis points. I really don't think that that's going to happen. I thought this was funny, though. $30,000 in Bitcoin in 2022. So this is when Bitcoin reached about $68,000 and then dropped to 30,000. A bunch of people were like, oh crap, this is the end. And then now Bitcoin, everyone's like, all right, Bitcoin's back on the rise. Are we in a bull market? Are we in a bear market? Only time's going to tell what's going to happen with this. Right here, SEC charges Bittrex today that they were operating a illegal securities exchange. We're going to talk about that here in a second, so I'll go over that. Twitter enables crypto trading in partnership with eToro, so that did come live today. Apple launches high-yielding savings account offerings of 4.15% APY in partnership with Goldman Sachs. In my opinion, this is where I see a bunch of issues, because right now banks offer uh, APYs of roughly like 0.1%, 0.15%, 0.01%. I've never seen anything over 1%. And now supposedly Apple can do it at 4.5%. In my opinion, these are reasons why cryptocurrency was also getting sued by the SEC, is because they were promising a bunch of APY, and it just depends on how many tokens you would receive. So it wasn't based on a cash value, it was based on how many tokens you would get. So let's say if you had 100 tokens, and let's say you were at 5%, every year you'd get 5 tokens. And depending on what the value of those tokens are, that's how much money you would make, essentially. Treasury Secretary Yellen says economic sanctions on Russia and other countries put U.S. dollar dominance at risk. In my opinion, she's wrong. How is it going to deflationate or devalue the dollar and destroy the dominance of it? Because right now, all these countries don't want to deal with the U.S. dollar to begin with. Right here, U.S. Congressman Warren Davidson to introduce legislation to fire Gary Gensler. In my opinion, that's definitely needed. We'll see what happens with that, though. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Elon Musk labels CBC News 69% government-funded media. He's been doing this with a lot of media places labeling them government funded, if they receive taxpayer dollars, which I don't understand why these news organizations are actually receiving government tax dollars. In my opinion, that's completely ridiculous that these institutions are receiving that, because there's a lot of speculation and news reports coming out that a lot of the federal government has been in cahoots, giving them information to basically spread amongst the people to cause panic and stuff like that. We'll see what happens with that, though. We're doing okay on time. So right here, Elon Musk calls BBC journalist a liar. He should win an Oscar. So this guy strolls into uh, the Twitter headquarters and says, "Hey, can I speak with Elon Musk? I want to sit down and do an interview." Elon's like, "Surprise interview? Let's do it." So he sits down with this guy, and this guy says, "Hey, there's a lot of stuff going on with Twitter. I've seen a lot of hateful stuff come on." And then Elon says, "I think you're a liar. Can you prove it? Give me some indications of where you've seen it." And he's like, "Well, like I haven't really seen it necessarily, but I've heard about it." And he's just like, "Well, so basically, what you're saying is it's all hearsay. If you can't give me any proof, then you're lying to me." And a bunch of people, if you guys ever listen to this, it was kind of hilarious, because he basically destroys this journalist who came in for their surprise interview thinking he was going to catch Elon off guard. But this interviewer says, "Hey, I thought I was supposed to be interviewing you, not you interviewing me." And he's like, "Well, the tables have turned, essentially." Because a lot of this was just ridiculous. He was basically coming in to just say, "Hey, Twitter's gotten a lot worse, since you took over. There's a lot of hateful speech, violence, stuff like that." But you couldn't prove anything. And in my opinion, the censorship was totally out of hand. Uh, Elon ended up firing a bunch of staff members and stuff like that. And he basically talked about that and says, "How can you justify firing all those individuals?" And he's like, "Well," Elon said that, "Hey, we had 3 months to stay afloat. That's how much cash flow we had. If I didn't fire those individuals, essentially Twitter would have gone bankrupt." And he's like, "Well, what's your value at?" And Elon's like, "Well, it doesn't matter what my value's at. If the company doesn't have money, then I have to put my own money into it," which he'd already put in 40 something billion dollars to buy it. So it was kind of a good interview. I'd recommend watching it. If you guys have ever seen this clip right here, um, and he does this little dance right here, basically putting BBC journalists in the coffin, walking away with him. This is really interesting. Like I said, labeling them all government funded media. He even labeled a Canadian news exchange as government funded media. Also, that was kind of hilarious. This is really what I wanted to get into right here. A lot of this with Gary Gensler. So it says that the U.S. Securities Exchange is ranked number one of public service, the best place to work in the federal government. Moved up from the top five in the recent years to third, and now has been ranked number one. And Gary Gensler says this is exciting news. "Thank you to all of our great staff at the SEC for all of the hard work they do on behalf of the investing public." Obviously, everyone who's invested right now does not like Gary Gensler. I wouldn't speak for everyone. There might be a few that actually like him, but the majority of people who are invested right now absolutely do not like him. He has not done anything good, especially for cryptocurrency. He's causing a lot of these businesses to basically look for business overseas. Like, they're going to start creating their exchanges and their platforms overseas, because there's no regulation here in the United States, even though all these companies have gone in and said, "Hey, what can we do to become regulation clarity in the markets? We don't want to violate any laws. Can you please tell us what we can do so we can remain compliant?" And basically, they're all getting sued. So right here, here's another example. The U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, today we have charged crypto asset trading platform Bittrex, we talked about this already, and its co-founder and former CEO William Shahara for operating an unregistered national securities exchange, broker, and clearing agency. Bittrex came out and released a statement and says that they're disappointed in this. They said, while operation, Bittrex providing a trading platform of digital asset securities were not offered or traded on Bittrex, nor did Bittrex offer any crypto products that were investment contracts. For over 5 years, and desperate multiple specific requests to do so, the SEC would not provide notice of specific conduct that it would thought that it violated the federal securities laws. Specifically, on multiple occasions, we asked them to tell them which of us the digital assets on our platform they viewed as securities so that we could review and potentially delist them. They refused to do so. Bittrex operated within the parameters of the laws at all times, and we look forward to vindicating our positions in court. So this is another example. This is why the Ripple versus the SEC case was so important. And it's been over 2.5 years, coming up to 3 years, that this case has been going on for. And now all these other companies are starting to get sued. And this is the grasp overreach of power. Jeremy Hogan says right here, on multiple occasions, Bittrex, he pointed this out, says that the SEC refused to tell us what digital assets they viewed as securities. They refused to do so. So the SEC let Bittrex sell unregistered securities for years, and we're still supposed to believe it's about investor protection. And that's what I wanted to bring back right here for on behalf of the investing public. It's just ridiculous. Time and time again, Gary Gensler is not doing well. There's a bunch of tokens that were basically listed as securities. One of these was Algorand. Gary Gensler, according to Mason Versluis, says that we're shilling algo, and now he's trying to call it a security. So in this video right here, this is when he was an education professor. He was talking and he spoke on his friend who actually is the creator of Algorand, and basically talks about it and says that it's a great project. And then now they're suing him. So we'll see what happens with this. If you guys want to follow the full list, I'll show it in the video later, tonight's video. I'll talk about all the other coins that were listed. Right here, though, Brian Armstrong says, great meeting today with UK Economic Secretary and City Minister. The UK is moving fast and sensible crypto regulations to both drive the economic growth and consumer protection of cryptocurrency, essentially. So more adoption of outside the United States. I wanted to point out too, we've talked about this in previous videos, but the Federal Reserve says Fed now coming in July is not a form of currency and is not a step forward towards eliminating cash. They are now defending it. This means that they have heard our thoughts and opinions on it. So basically what they're saying is they're not going to try to replace cash, which is complete BS. They're lying to the public right now because this is essentially going to take away cash. Everything's going to be on the blockchain. If the government controls FedNow, and everyone's cash is on the FedNow system, they control where you use your money, how you can use it, and if they want to take your money away at any time. This I would fight against right now. Always will. We got to get rid of this. We should not let this come to light. And if they do actually come out, because they can essentially do whatever they want to, we should push against the public being required to be in the FedNow system. Bank of America sees tokenization of real-world assets such as commodities, currencies, and equities as a key driver of digital assets adoption. Bank of America is in partnership with Ripple. They're waiting for clarity in the markets to start moving forward with their partnership. I wanted to point out Hedera right here, past 7 billion transactions and counting. This happened on the 15th. It's now the 18th. They're probably well over 7 billion right now, probably at like 7.3 to 7.5. They'll hit 8 billion soon, but they changed their logo right here to a green H bar symbol right here. In my opinion, they're trying to show that they're more economic friendly, one of the best economic friendly tokens in the markets. This happened also. You guys can read this. I'm not going to go through it, but the SEC files letter of supplemental authority in further support of its motion for summary judgment. So they're trying to keep on delaying it by pushing out another supplementary motion in support of their summary judgment. Ripple immediately responded the next day, I believe. It was 2 days later. Ripple did their appeal on it, basically saying whatever they said was complete BS. They talked about the common law is what the SEC tried to come up with. And Ripple, they basically said that the common law has no bearing on this case. If you guys want to, again, read through that. I wanted to read through this really quick, though. John Deaton comes out because right now there's a lot of speculation. There was a report that Ripple released the Liquidity Hub, and in that they released a lot of tokens that could be used on the Liquidity Hub for Ripple, and XRP was not listed. So John Deaton says that there's such a diverse reaction to the news that Ripple's Liquidity Hub will not include XRP, and that I believe a Twitter Spaces is warranted. And Stuart Alderati, if you guys don't know, he's the chief legal officer at Ripple. He says, I can't join the spaces today, but I wanted to clarify some questions on our newest product, Liquidity Hub. Number one, Liquidity Hub is an enterprise or an institution product, not a retail. In the US, there is little liquidity for XRP. We're keen to support XRP and Liquidity Hub when we can provide a good customer experience. Two, our product team has been very clear. Liquidity Hub was built to access all kinds of crypto liquidity, not just XRP. Our target Liquidity Hub customers today, mainly institutions in the US, want access to various tokens like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins. We're here to serve customers' demands. Also, As previously stated in our blog post, XRP does not have regulatory clarity in the US, which is, of course, important to enterprise customers. 4. For those comparing ODL and Liquidity Hub, ODL has for years used and will continue to use XRP. Our sales of XRP reported every quarter are on all of our ODL customers for use in the product, which is thriving globally. So basically, it's different. Liquidity Hub is different than the ODL. I'll come up with a video hopefully soon on the differences and talking about Liquidity Hub in more detail. But I wanted to bring this out and talk about it really quick because right now, Ripple is a company. XRP is completely different from Ripple. They're separate. You have to look at them as separate institutions. Ripple is a company. XRP is a cryptocurrency token. So they don't go hand in hand. Now, Ripple can use the XRP token if it chooses so, but right now, like Stuart Alderati said, Brad Garlinghouse would come out and say the same: is that there's no regulatory clarity, so they can't use the token essentially on a business product. Otherwise, again, they're going to be sued again, knowing that they're in a lawsuit right now with the token. So we'll see what happens with this as it goes on. The last thing that we're going to talk about, though, right here, and if you guys have any questions or anything, put them in the comments. I'll look forward to answering them as quick as possible. And either I'll, type it out in the comments or I'll put it in the video that I have tonight. But this is the most important thing that we're going to have to look forward to. This happens in a couple of hours. There's a hearing on the oversight of the Security Exchange Commission. So, there's a hearing. There's the government's going to get together. They're going to have Gary Gensler in front of Congress, and they're going to ask him multiple questions. Now we'll see if individuals like Elizabeth Warren are there. If she sent her questions to Gary Gensler, and then Gary Gensler had the responses that she wants to, because she still hasn't answered for those. But a lot of Republicans are going to hammer Gary Gensler. We talked about on Watcher Guru that there is a Republican who's trying to create a law to get rid of Gary Gensler from his office. We'll see if that actually follows through with it. But he's actually going to get hit hard with a lot of questions. We'll see how he shows up in office. If he's actually doing what he's supposed to be doing, if he can answer these questions, or if he's going to be drawing blanks and saying, oh, I can't answer, I do not recall. It's going to be a really interesting hearing. So make sure you guys try to watch this hearing if you guys can. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to watch this. I have to go back to work in an hour. So I will be listening to it after work, and then I will be making a video on an update for what it happens. So make sure you guys tune into that video. We will talk about everything about the meeting with Gary Gensler tonight. Thank you guys for watching my channel. Thank you guys for being here. Sorry again, I was out for my honeymoon. I will be creating videos every other day, possibly every day, depending on what happens in the cryptocurrency world, especially, and also financial markets too. So if you guys have any questions, like I said again, or things you guys want me to hit on a little bit more, make sure you guys comment them below. Thank you guys. If you guys can't invest with the big dog, stay on the porch. Have a good one.